India produces enough food to export millions of tons globally. But across the country, the land itself has cracked open, bore wells have run completely dry, and thousands of farmers abandon their fields for crowded cities every single day. The very people responsible for keeping a population of 1.4 billion alive are collapsing under insurmountable, systemic debt. They are starving while growing the nation's food. Arjun spent his life learning how to diagnose and fix broken systems as a software engineer. When a major tech firm offered him a lucrative position, he turned it down. He looked at his family's failing farm, told the interviewers he preferred to solve real problems, and went home. He arrived to find a ticking clock. A final bank notice had just been delivered. His family had exactly 1 year to repay their outstanding loans, or their generational land would be auctioned off to the highest bidder. This localized family tragedy is a mirror for a massive structural collapse across the entire agricultural industry. Hard work is no longer enough to save these farms. They require a precise, calculated engineering solution. For centuries, traditional farming systems absorbed droughts and market shocks. Today, that resilience has been replaced by a rigid reliance on chemical-dependent agriculture. This diagram maps out modern linear agriculture. It is a strict one-way pipeline. Money goes in to purchase expensive chemical inputs and pump deep well water. All of this is consumed to extract a single cash crop at the end of the season. Run this pipeline long enough and the math becomes hostile. The constant chemical application degrades the topsoil. The deep pumping empties the aquifers. As yields drop, the required inputs cost more, compounding the financial deficit until the entire pipeline breaks. Attempting to optimize this specific equation is mathematically guaranteed to result in lost land. Working more hours or buying slightly cheaper fertilizer cannot fix a system that is designed to consume its own foundation. Arjun's first attempt to debug the farm focused entirely on the inputs. He stopped buying chemical fertilizers and swapped them for organic alternatives, while keeping the standard single-crop model exactly the same. The operation crashed. Without the chemical pesticides the local ecosystem was used to, severe pest attacks decimated the crops. Concurrently, the farm's milk production dropped, choking off their daily cash flow. The financial losses piled up rapidly, putting intense strain on the household. His mother looked at the ruined harvest and asked him directly if his ideals were going to feed their stomachs. The failure provided a crucial data point. Fixing agriculture requires completely redesigning the operational architecture, not just swapping out the type of seed or fertilizer used. A linear system running on organic inputs is still a fragile linear system. To build true economic resilience, the farm had to pivot away from a straight line and become a closed loop. Arjun approached the farm as a closed-loop engineering system. In this model, there is no such thing as waste. The byproduct of one process directly powers the next. This cross-section illustrates the foundational water module. Instead of letting rainwater run off, specialized harvesting ponds catch the monsoon downpours. These structures actively recharge the underground aquifer, refilling the depleted borewells rather than simply draining them. With water secured, the system relies on a core processing node, the Desi cow. Indigenous cattle breeds act as the central engine for the farm, generating multiple distinct outputs from a single biological source. The raw milk is no longer sold at wholesale prices. It is processed directly on the farm into higher-margin products like ghee and paneer. This immediate value addition loop drastically increases the profit margin per liter. The animal waste is routed into a gobar gas plant, a biodigester that captures methane. This generates free electricity to power the farm's equipment, while the remaining nutrient-rich slurry is routed back to the soil as high-grade organic fertilizer. By closing the loop, Arjun engineered a self-sustaining machine. The farm now generates continuous, diversified wealth without requiring a single new external input. Just as the model proved viable, a massive corporate agro company arrived in the village. They wanted to consolidate the land and offered a staggering 10 crore buyout for the village's collective acreage. The village faced an intense economic conflict. They had to choose between an immediate massive cash injection and the slow, steady work of generational survival. Social tension fractured the community. Many villagers turned against Arjun. viewing his systemic farming model and long-term planning as a direct obstacle to their instant wealth. Arjun presented the hard data. He showed them the math behind his circular farm's multi-stream income. Then he asked them a simple question. Once the land is sold and the cash is spent, what exactly will your children do for a living? Liquidating the land removes the single core asset required for future economic sovereignty. Without it, the villagers would inevitably become landless laborers, entirely dependent on corporate salaries to survive. The math and the reality of their future became clear. The village formally rejected the corporate buyout and chose to adopt Arjun's closed-loop farming model across their own fields. 5 years of compounding returns transformed the landscape. The drought-stricken, cracked earth was replaced by a water-secure, localized economy, complete with dairy processing and schools. The community no longer relies on the seasonal gamble of a single cash crop. They operate on diversified, highly secure, and engineered income streams that protect them from both market crashes and climate shocks. Cities might create salaries, but true future wealth is not determined by real estate valuations. It is measured by absolute, engineered control over your own food, water, and energy.